morning, everyone. I hope that you're well. As you would probably have seen from the Prime Minister, the government is soon to start to allow churches to open, if they wish to, for private prayer, not for public service, but for private prayer. And one of the things that they've done is issue a huge guidance document to churches so that we can see how it might be possible in some form or fashion to open up our churches at the right time that is safe for people to go in for prayer if we feel that is the right thing to do. I have to say that having looked at the document, which only arrived this morning for what was potentially opening tomorrow, there's an awful lot of issues that we do need to pay attention to, and the task group that we've set up under Nigel Archer's chairmanship will be looking very carefully at that this week as to what we would need to do. There are issues to do with cleaning of the church, between people coming in, where they would sit, and actually someone would need to be in there while they were in to know exactly where they sat and prevent people gathering together and then cleaning afterwards. And then if you're going to have services at some point, there needs to be at least 72 hours between people being in there, unless you're going to do a deep clean. And one of the issues that we've got, to be honest, is that a number of the people who would be our volunteers, who would normally help us either with being the steward for the event or indeed helping with cleaning, are over 70. And the document clearly says that the government is not encouraging people over 70 or with health conditions or who are self-isolating for medical reasons to go into churches and places of worship for private prayer at this time. So there's a lot for us to consider, but all I can assure you is that we will be taking this incredibly seriously, and the decisions that ultimately the PCC will take in this coming week will be based purely on the fact of, is it safe for us to offer that facility? Can and should we do that ahead of, hopefully in the weeks and months to come, some form of worship again corporately together, which I think for many of us would be the priority of how we might do that. So just be assured that we are looking at this very seriously. We've got a great task group with lots of different experience of life, all bringing their experience together to try to help us come to a right decision for the sake of all members of the church. So if you have any questions about, do email me or give me a call, and I'll be pleased to try and help. But let me just offer this morning a few reflections on that gospel reading set for the day from Matthew chapter 9. And after weeks of reflecting on Jesus' death, resurrection, and appearing to his disciples, and then the Great Commission and his ascension into heaven that we've been talking about, today we go back to Matthew 9, where Jesus is preaching and travelling throughout all the towns and villages. He's preaching the good news and he's healed many. But note his motivation for doing so is in verse 36, when it says, when Jesus saw the crowds, he had compassion on them because they were confused and they were helpless like sheep without a shepherd. So they were confused, they were helpless like sheep, trying to live their lives just without a shepherd, just wandering off vacantly into the abyss, really, not knowing where they were going. COVID-19 has left the best minds in the world confused and feeling helpless. Everything the West had put in place, their faith, whatever they put in their faith and their confidence in, had been found wanting. Money, power, defense systems, science, the best health service, nothing could prevent a microscopic virus from turning the world upside down, and it certainly has done. And people are fearful now about their jobs. They're fearful about catching COVID, and they're confused about what the future will hold for them and for their families after COVID-19. And I think Jesus' response to all of that would be compassion to all who are confused, to all who are helpless. Yes, they are looking like sheep without a shepherd, and he wants to guide them through that valley of uncertainty. But they needn't be like sheep without a shepherd. Jesus is the shepherd that they need. The question for you and me is, who will therefore bring the good news to the confused and helpless people of our generation during this COVID-19 season? Well, in the passage, Jesus tells the disciples to pray that the Lord of the harvest will send labourers into the harvest field. Okay, well, easy, you say. I'll pray and someone else will probably be found to send the good news to my confused and helpless neighbours and family and friends. Well, no. Usually, when Jesus says to pray, he knows that when we bring our needs to God, asking him to give us his heart and his mind, God usually provides the answers through us by giving us God's heart and God's mind for the situation. Prayer is very dangerous. So today, a question for all of us. Who do we know who is confused and helpless about life and the future as a result of COVID-19? Who do you know that's confused and helpless about life and the future after COVID-19? And so today, why not pray that God will fill you with his compassion to the lost, that through you this week they might find the shepherd to guide them through their own valley and wilderness. Amen.